And we're back. Thursday evening, 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's another episode of KJ's What Happened, where we look back on some of the stranger news of the week and some random stuff peppered in there as well. This is just a part of my process anyway. I'm always, every day, looking through different news sources and picking up on some of the stranger things. And oftentimes, those will go into my videos. So we started the show a while back, and it's been a lot of fun. It's basically sharing all the strange things I catch every week with you guys that doesn't necessarily make it in every video. So thanks for being here. I already saw a lot of people entering into the chat. That's great. We always have a really cool chat room going over there. I saw some of the moderators. Hi, mods. Thanks for being here as always. And again, thank you. Thank you for just tuning in. And it's always nice to have you back. Quick news on Chubbs. He was in rare form this evening before I started, so I put him in kitty lockup. But, you know, I've recorded some really cool footage of him over the last couple of weeks. Today I was trying to create something, but the problem is I have a couple different computers, and the one I broadcast these shows on is a Chromecast, and that doesn't do well with Apple technology. My phone's an Apple, so I'm having trouble taking my videos from my phone and uploading them on this Chromecast. Maybe I'm missing something, but so I'm going to try to figure that out and make a little video presentation for those of you who are interested to see Chubbs in action in fine form. He is a little stinker. Just wait, you'll see. So by next week, I should have all that figured out, and I'll actually have a nice little thing set up with Chubbs. If you want to see Chubbs, I've got a video on my YouTube channel as well, just called Chubbs, and you'll see him playing some fetch. Anyway, enough about my cat. I don't want to be the creepy cat guy. I do love my pets, but let's get started. Here's the first one. First story. Scientists think a new super Earth planet 6 times larger than our own is possibly orbiting the nearest star to our sun. A lot of news about this kind of stuff over the last few years. Scientists claiming they may have captured another planet, in our galaxy and things like this. Obviously, it always sparks the Nibiru rumors. People start talking about Nibiru. I think if anything, it's wormwood, most likely from the Bible, and I believe you can look that up for yourself. But I've always thought that that's what this is when they start talking about another planet, a mysterious planet in our solar system. It makes me think back to wormwood. You can look that up. But it's also interesting that there's several shows out there. There have been some movies over the last few years as well about a second Earth showing up. And some of these movies and TV shows go into it and more in depth, where on this other Earth, there's another one of you. And there's another one of me. There's another one of us. It's like a second reality. There's a show called Counterpart I watch. It's had 2 seasons. And that's a TV show where in Germany, they discovered there's a tunnel under the city. And if you go through it, you end up in another Earth with another you, another copy of us, like a carbon copy, basically, of our Earth, just with some slight differences. Anyway, so that's been out there. Anytime I start seeing these trends, I wonder why. I don't know if this will be some kind of a setup. I don't know if the system's going to use this kind of news for something. Oh, we discovered another Earth or whatever, or another planet. I don't know how they will use this, but I just noticed this trend. This is the things I kind of catch on. Scientists believe they may have discovered a new planet orbiting the star which is closest to our sun. Possibly 2 planets could be orbiting a small red dwarf, which is around 4.24 light years away. They say, we are pleased to show you for the first time what is for us a new candidate planet around Proxima that we call Proxima C. Okay. I don't want to get much into the article. Looks like they're using a lot of big scientifical type words. We don't like smart words around here. I'm just kidding. We don't like them smart words, them big words. Keep it simple for us. But anyway, that's the idea. Just wanted to share that. I have seen a trend with this idea that there's another Earth, another reality out there, much like ours. Can you imagine getting attacked by this thing right here? Large bird attacks and kills its fallen owner in Florida. Look at this thing. Look at those legs, like little tree trunks. A large flightless bird native to Australia and New Guinea attacked and killed its owner when the man fell on his property in Florida. The Alachua County Fire Rescue Department told the Gainesville Sun that a cassowary, I guess that's what they're called, killed the man Friday on the property near Gainesville, likely using its long claws. The victim, whose name was not released, was apparently breeding the birds. I'm going to look at that thing again. Look at that, man. It's a crazy looking bird. Big. You could do some damage. Obviously, it killed a man. It looks like it was accidental, they said. Okay. Well, at least we know that this wasn't planned out, that the bird hadn't been planning this out for a while. So that's good to know. It looks like it was accidental. My understanding is that the gentleman was in the vicinity of the bird and at some point fell. When he fell, he was attacked. Cassowaries are similar to emus and can stand up to 6 feet tall and weigh up to 130 pounds with black body feathers and bright blue heads and necks. The San Diego Zoo's website calls cassowaries the world's most dangerous bird with a 4-inch dagger-like claw on each foot. Wow, that sounds nasty. The cassowary can slice open any predator or potential threat with a single swift kick. Powerful legs help the cassowary run up to 31 miles per hour through the dense forest underbrush. Wow. So that thing, a cassowary, killed a man. It looks like it could kill a man, doesn't it? And the good news is that the deputy chief, police chief out there, determined it looks like it was accidental. So at least we know that this cassowary hadn't been planning this out for like months in advance, just waiting for the moment to where he could kill. Russia says New World Order being formed. I remember many years ago when just that term would get eye rolls from people. You'd talk about the New World Order and like, oh boy, here we go. You're one of those. New World Order. Meanwhile, it's showing up in all kinds of news now. Russia says New World Order being formed. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov declared today that the Western liberal model of society is dying and a new world order is taking its place. Lavrov made the comment at his annual meeting with students and professors. Says the Western liberal model of development, which particularly stipulates a partial loss of national sovereignty. This is what our Western colleagues aimed at when they invented what they called globalization, is losing its attractiveness now and is no more viewed as a perfect model for all. Moreover, many people in the very Western countries are skeptical about it. According to him, global development is guided by processes aimed at boosting multipolarity and what we call a polycentric world order. Clearly, multipolarity and the emergence of new centers of power in every way requires efforts to maintain global stability and search for a balance of interests and compromises, so diplomacy should play a leading role here, particularly because there are a lot of issues that require generally acceptable solutions. These include regional conflicts, international terrorism, food security, and environmental protection. This is why we believe that only diplomacy can help make agreements and reach sustainable decisions that will be accepted by all. The main reason I wanted to put this out there is that it's not always bad news. It's not always doom and gloom and the world's going to end stuff. I see hope with a lot of stories like this anyway. Even with Trump, whether he meant to or not, one thing, there's good and bad there, but one of the things I think is really good about his presidency is he's completely changed the dialogue. He really did break the false left-right paradigm for a lot of people. And people are really starting to wake up on a massive level now, that it's not really just about the red versus the blue, right? The color coding. It's not just about the right versus the left. It's about nationalism and globalism. Because we are approaching that. There's a lot of entities in this world that are pushing for the New World Order, the one world system. We see it all the time. I do videos on this. This is what I've been watching for many years. I just did a video about the fire in Paris at Notre Dame. And if you haven't checked that out, please do, because it's all connected to this stuff as well. It's all connected to where we're heading, where some entities want us to head into a one world, new world order system, where Christians are going to be in in a lot of trouble. I mean, as far as the world goes, okay, they will be. But I mean, if you're with God, especially during those times, you shouldn't be living in fear. I believe it's going to be really incredible for those that live through it and make it. And there'll be one of three camps, basically. There'll be those that die by the sword. There's people already ready to fight, the government forces. So there'll be plenty of that. Some people will be taken into captivity. Some will lose their heads. Some may just be in captivity the whole time. I don't know how it's going to work exactly. And then some are going to escape, and they're going to hide out. The Christians lost in the wilderness, I'm rambling, I know. This is what I do. I can't help it. But I see these things as a bit hopeful, because the dialogue's changing, and everybody, everyone can see it more clearly now, I believe. It's this false left-right paradigm was broken for me many, many, many years ago. For a lot of you as well. But now it's on a global level. Now we're seeing what this is really all about, this new world order that people used to, snicker about when you bring it up, this new world order. It truly is forming. That's what this battle is now. Will it be nationalism? Will it be that countries can, keep their own borders and continue to create their own laws, etc.? Or will this be a thing where all the borders are broken? Everybody's joined into a one world system. We'll have a world court. Won't that be fun? You'll have a world court, and you'll have a figure running this whole thing. We like to call him the Antichrist. I still have people, though, that tell me I'm nuts for bringing this, or for talking about this stuff. Or, the New World Order already happened, or not the New World Order, but the Antichrist has already been here. It was Nero, so like none of this stuff's going to happen. You see stuff like this. It's just there's multiple Antichrists, guys. There have been other Antichrists throughout history, but the one we're talking about now will be the final one. The man of perdition, or the son of perdition, the man of sin, right? This is a cuckoo story that kind of slid by me. I'm not even sure if we covered it when it happened. This is December 2017. But I pulled this one because I may use it in something in the future. I just thought it was interesting. Do you remember there was a news story about 2, maybe 3 years ago, and it was one of the craziest news stories I'd ever seen in my life, and it was a mainstream news story. It ran in a lot of local news and maybe even national. It was a pretty big story. They caught this guy with all these crazy weapons. Remember that? And he was I'll have to look that up. He was something connected with reptilians. It was a really weird story. Maybe I'll look it up here in a little bit. Until then, though, this was just another one of those kind of cuckoo crazy ones, and I love these kind of stories. Armed man tells police Trump ordered him to fight lizard people. The Washington State man who snorted methamphetamine to lose weight, so there's trouble right there, and caused alarm by waving an AK-47 at a busy intersection while shouting that President Donald Trump ordered him to fight, quote, the lizard people, was shocked with a taser gun by police and is being mentally evaluated. The 54-year-old man stopped his white Jeep Cherokee in the middle of the intersection on November 25th. Washington State Patrol troopers arrived on the scene to find the man waving around an AK-47 as well as a loaded Ruger 357 revolver. Nice gun, by the way. The man put the guns back in the car as troopers approached him, some armed with rifles of their own. The man immediately laid on the ground and started to scream about sending in the news and about the lizard people. Pierce County Sheriff's Department said in a statement, as our patrol deputy and a trooper attempted to place him in handcuffs, he suddenly pulled away his arms and tried to resist being handcuffed while continuing to scream. Both the deputy and a trooper fired tasers at the man, the Sheriff's Department said, and the man was then handcuffed. According to the sheriff's department, the man told the arresting officers he had snorted methamphetamine to lose weight and was taking prescribed morphine. Yeah, what could go wrong with that combination? I'm surprised he didn't have a heart attack. That causes heart attacks in people. People will do these, it wasn't speedballs, but there's something else where you'll mix in a methamphetamine with a downer. I mean, that's just so dangerous. And was taking prescribed morphine and snorting methamphetamine. But he added, the meth doesn't make me crazy, man. The lizard people are real. I've done a video on the lizard people over on my website. I've got some real gems over there. I plan on doing more work with the site. I've been focusing on my YouTube a lot more the last few weeks. But if you haven't seen my website, it's whoiskjosborne.com. I'll leave a link below. Go check it out, man. I've got some really videos I'm very proud of over there. Some of you have maybe never seen before. The future is nuts, bolts, and nightmare fuel. That's another one. Check that one out. But anyway, I did a cool video on the lizard people. I do believe there's a lot of stories about lizard people and the lizard people, and there's a lot of things that connect to this that are very interesting. Maybe it's a part of the serpent seed line, if you will. I don't think they're reptilian aliens from another planet. Maybe it's demons, right? I don't know. Maybe it's fallen ones. I'm not exactly sure, but there's a lot of really interesting stories out there about lizard people, especially the lizard man in Georgia. You ever heard about that one? That's pretty interesting stuff too. And obviously you can get cuckoo crazy with the lizard people stuff. That's one of those go-tos I've noticed throughout the years when you're dealing with somebody who's not into truth or critical thinking about these types of crazy subjects. Someone who's just stuck in the matrix. They always bring up the lizard. Oh, you're one of those lizard people type people, huh? You get stuff like that. But the man went on to describe how President Trump had called his house in Eatonville and warned him that the lizard people were coming and that the Alpha Dragon had already taken his family hostage, the sheriff's department said. He said he had stopped in the intersection because he was surrounded by the lizard people and needed to fight them as directed by the president. He said he was screaming and making a scene in the intersection in order to attract the news vans, and so his story could be documented for history. Medics at the scene determined the man was heavily under the influence of a stimulant, placed in a 14-day mental health hold. Here's some pictures, I guess, from the scenes, the weapons. Let me see. Let me see. A man finds, let me see. Dead man found guns underwater vehicle. I think that might bring it up. Let's see. Yeah. There it is. There it is. Let's see if we can read some of this. There we go. This is the one. July 23rd, 2015. Yeah, gosh, wow. It's been over 3 years, almost 4 years since this story came out. All right. The mystery behind a Los Angeles gun fanatic found decomposing in a car last week is deepened as his fiance's family said he was a, quote, alien hybrid secretly working for the government. The bizarre statement came Wednesday as the betrothed woman's, and this is from New York Daily News, just so you know. The bizarre statement came Wednesday as the betrothed woman's lawyer identified the dead man as Jeffrey Allen Lash, almost 1 week after he was discovered rotting in his car parked on the street in a Pacific Palisades neighborhood. Los Angeles police found more than 1,200 guns. I mean, check this out. Los Angeles police, now they're saying this guy's an alien hybrid. LA police found more than 1,200 guns. 1,200 guns. Nearly 7 tons of ammunition, bows and arrows, knives, machetes, and $230,000 in cash inside Lash's home last Friday. Society ever does fall apart and everything turns Walking Dead, I want to be at that house. 1,200 guns, 7 tons of ammo, bows and arrows, knives, machetes. The cash probably won't matter at that point, but they also discovered a Toyota SUV, check this out, designed to drive underwater among the 14 vehicles registered in his name. The collection was as odd as Lash's confessions to his soon-to-be wife, Catherine Abram, that he was working as an undercover operative for multiple unnamed government agencies, according to her defense attorney. The story itself sounds totally crazy, Then how do you explain all this, Braun said. There's no evidence he was a drug dealer or he stole those weapons or had any criminal source of income, no stolen property, all the stuff you'd look for. That's just some of them. Look at that. Lash was also believed to be an alien sent to Earth to protect us, according to Laura Vadbunker, the mother of the 39-year-old Dawn Vadbunker, who used to work for Nebron. I can't believe this, Laura told KTLA. It's worse than a Twilight Zone movie. He was part alien and part human and was out to save the world. Authorities are still working to confirm the man's identity and figure out why he possessed so many cars and firearms, many of which were still in boxes or had price tags. LAPD Deputy Chief Detective said he does not believe he was doing anything illegal with the weapons. He had been decomposing in his car, inside of his car for nearly 2 weeks before the police found him. I'm guessing that's his girlfriend. Yeah, that was his girlfriend. Police don't suspect any foul play inside the death, but there's an investigation into the cause. Braun said Nebron parked him in a car down the street from the condo they shared after he died. He had trouble breathing but refused to go to the hospital or call 911. The longtime girlfriend of 17 years then left for Oregon, believing government agencies would come for his body and the items in his house. So, is she crazy? Is this all crazy? Just people, oh, they're crazy. You're crazy. Or you tell me. One of my favorite stories ever. I love those weird stories like that. Of course, we've heard nothing else, and I doubt we will, but I love when those stories, like last year we had the story of the guy that went skiing in California, and then he suddenly found himself walking the streets confused in New York. Remember that? Went with a bunch of friends, disappeared. They find him a week later, the other side of the country in New York. He's all confused, still wearing his ski gear and everything else, and says he doesn't know how he got there. It's another one. Business owners have mixed reactions to Dallas County DA's new policies. Check this out. Dallas County's new district attorney announced his office will no longer prosecute, quote, theft of necessary items up to $750. That's a big deal. Look at this. This is in Dallas, Texas, America. Dallas County's new district attorney announced his office will no longer prosecute theft of necessary items up to $750. Means you can, if you can get out of the store with it, basically what they're saying, and it's under $750, God bless you, man, right? The announcement drew an immediate reaction from small business owners who are worried that word of the policy will encourage shoplifting. Duh. We had a story a few weeks back about how practically everybody in America, at least, is living paycheck to paycheck, at least a large percentage. There's a lot of hurting people out there, man. And I've been there. You know, I know what it's like to not have money to pay your bills. I've lived, my life has been up and down like that, you know, my adult life. I mean, military was great because it took care of you, you know, like Uncle Sam, you know, is feeding off that government teat, baby. But really, though, the government, they took care of you in the military. But you know, you get out in life and you take chances and do things. You lose money, you get money. And I was a bounty hunter. I lost everything. Didn't make a whole lot of money being a bounty hunter. Dallas County's new district attorney announced his office would no longer prosecute theft of necessary items up to $750. Huh. Cody Ellison and his business partner own 3 shops in the Bishop Arts District. The DA's letter to the people of Dallas County does not sit well with him. To have the thought of someone being able to come in and steal $750 from us and there be no consequence is unfathomable to me, Ellison said. The DA's letter says criminalizing poverty is counterproductive for our community's health and safety. For that reason, this office will not prosecute theft of personal items less than $750 unless the evidence shows that the alleged theft was for economic gain. Wow. For that reason, this office will not prosecute theft of personal items less than $750 unless the evidence shows that the alleged theft was for economic gain. Okay. They say essentials, Ellison said. For us, essentials are clothing. People have to have clothing. Ellison questions why the DA set such a high dollar amount for prosecution. This is not a victimless crime, he said. The district attorney tried to clarify his new policy. He said, maybe I should say consumption items. Maybe we should have to put that word in there, he said. Crusoe, I guess, the DA. We're talking about food and formula that people need to live. Maybe I didn't put enough words in when I said personal items. Maybe I should have said personal consumption items. Jason Roberts is just bureaucracy, right? Jason Roberts is the owner of AJ Vagabonds and Bishop Arps and supports the DA's new policy. He said, I would hate to have the worst thing you'd done be the flag for who you are as a human being for the rest of your life, Roberts said. But business owners like Ellison hope the policy doesn't encourage criminal behavior. People are going to become more and more confident with stealing, opening a floodgate for more and more theft in the future, Ellison said. If it grows, there will be no more small business owners. There you go. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Decriminalizing theft of necessary items up to $750. There you go. And that's in Dallas County. So there's probably some of you are probably turning off your computer right now and getting car keys. Yeah, I'm driving out to Dallas. I'm going to go do some shopping. Here's one I'll share with you. We can watch together. This one really kind of blew me away. It came from out of nowhere this week. Let me pause it here. Yeah, this one kind of surprised me. It came from out of nowhere this week when I stumbled on this. A lot of people have seen this, over 3 million views. I had never seen this, and this is from a few years ago, around 2015. But do you remember? You'll probably remember it once you see him in here, but do you remember a few years ago, there was a guy that went through a Chick-fil-A and completely berated one of the little girls working there, and he filmed it and he put it up online? This is his story. This is what happened. And this was because, there's been a lot of beef with Chick-fil-A over the years because it's run by, Christians, and they're very open about their faith. And they're very open about, only a man and a woman should be married. And of course, the LGBT no likey. So people started going after Chick-fil-A. Well, this is one of these guys, and it was very interesting to see what happened to him. This is a morality tale that people need to see for the days we're in now. But let's just watch it together. It's only it's about 8 minutes. Not too bad, but it's absolutely fascinating. Check this out. Also, this week wasn't the thickest on news. I've got a lot, but not as much as I have had. So, this will kind of fill in a little bit of time for us. And again, it's just something I wanted to share with you guys, man. This really hit me heavy when I watched this. Check it out.
Adam and Amy Smith are on their weekly supermarket run in Portland, Oregon.
There's free-range chicken.
We love your chicken, and it's $5.99. We'll take it.
Adam graduated top of his class at business school, a go-getter, a high flyer. But now this father of four is shopping with food stamps.
Tomatoes? No. That's too much. Depending on the price.
Oh, never mind.
In some ways, it feels like I have completely failed.
From 200 grand a year, you're on food stamps?
Yeah, my voice is cracking right now because I never thought I'd be there. It's humbling.
He's talking about his spectacular fall for the very first time, talking to us.
Well, we were living in our dream house. It was beautiful on 3.5 acres.
Smith lost that beautiful home in Tucson, Arizona after he was fired from his job as CFO of a medical device manufacturer 2.5 years ago. The reason? An infamous internet incident spawned by nationwide protests at Chick-fil-A.
Now, one of the most popular fast food chains in the country is under fire this morning.
You may recall the kerfuffle erupted when the chicken chain's president took a public stand against same-sex marriage.
Confirming that the fast food chain is the new ground zero in the culture wars over gay marriage.
Count Adam Smith a casualty of that war. All because of a 2-minute, 20-second YouTube video that started like this.
Well, I'm waiting in line. I'm next in line. Here I go.
Smith's humbling experience wasn't caught on camera by someone else. No, he's the only person who pressed send.
People have to have their Chick-fil-A anti-gay breakfast sandwich.
You filmed yourself and then You made the decision.
Yeah.
You posted it.
I did it. Yeah.
We'll get back to Smith and the details of his cautionary tale in just a minute. Listen, hitting the send button, we do it all the time without really thinking. Sending emails, texts, tweets, selfies, videos out into the world. It can be life-changing, career-ending. Just ask these people. The school bus driver posting a beer-swilling selfie. The woman who came to the office dressed as a Boston Marathon bombing victim. And the naughty 10th grade math teacher known as Crunk Bear posting saucy pics and drug talk. Fired, fired, fired.
Every time I look at hiring somebody, I go and gather their digital footprint from every source I can get.
Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary is not alone.
Most companies now, mine included, employ people that specialize in just watching what's happening on all the platforms.
Remember PR exec Justine Sacco? She learned that the hard way when she tweeted, "Going to Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding. I'm white." Yeah, she's a PR executive.
She kind of chuckled to herself. This was at Heathrow Airport. Press send.
She says it's meant to be a comment on white privilege, but people didn't get the joke and the tweet went viral. Protests. Now, Smith got in line at his local drive-thru.
There's a long line of cars, too. I don't know if you can see, but it's,
Here's what happened.
awesome. You know why I'm getting the free water, right? Because Chick-fil-A is a hateful corporation.
And then he got carried away.
I don't know how you live with yourself and work here. I don't understand it. This is a horrible corporation with horrible values. You deserve better. I got emotional about it.
And said things to the clerk that you regret?
I don't regret the stand that I took, but I regret the way I talked to her. I just can't stand the hate, you know? It gotta stop. It's gotta stop, guys.
Smith pressed send, went to bed, woke up, went to work.
And the receptionist, first thing, big eyes, "Adam, what did you do?" The voicemail is completely full, and it's full of bomb threats.
You were asked to resign.
Yeah.
He refused and was fired, losing his six-figure salary and stock options.
Worth.
It was over $1 million.
And it's gone.
It was taken when I lost my employment.
The money, that beautiful home, all gone. They had to super downsize. No big house, no space for big toys.
This is Sterling. Helping give all we own to Goodwill. Oh, is that your Easy Bake Oven? Is that one of your favorite toys?
Yes. Yeah, we had.
You had a jacuzzi.
What are you fishing for?
We're getting off the point here. Smith quickly apologized to the clerk he got angry with.
I am so very sorry for the way I spoke to you.
She has forgiven him.
I do forgive Adam Smith. I think he realizes how bad of a decision it was to make that tape.
But apparently some others have not. Okay, so fired from one CFO job, Adam applied for another, 1,200 miles away in Portland, Oregon. He got it. The family had to move, but a job, a fresh start. Hooray.
I hesitate to even ask what happened next.
It was 2 weeks on the job. I got called into the CFO's office, and they said that you should have told us about the Chick-fil-A video. You're fired.
So he started showing the so-called chicken incident video at job interviews to get it out in the open. Rejection, rejection, rejection.
The constant rejection that he's had going forward has been really brutal.
Wife Amy is now the family breadwinner.
This might sound silly, but change your name, dye your hair, grow a different beard.
All things that were recommended, and some of those things I tried.
Occasionally he'd get an offer, then always a call or a voicemail like this.
I just don't want to see this be a distraction or any backlash. Some of the others have expressed some concern.
Adam Smith, self-made man, reduced to nothing. His kids even trying to find ways out of his hell, making a Shark Tank-like pitch.
Instead of doing this, you do this. It's $15.
$15? Okay. Should we put this on TV then, huh? Why would we do that?
Because we need the money and have food for our family.
Adam's son Sawyer sees a silver lining in all of this.
You want him to have a full-time
No,
job?
I don't.
Why not?
because I want him to play.
Okay, so this is the benefit, is that when he hasn't been working, he's been hanging out with you guys.
Yep.
That's good, right? Most people eventually can move on from the online faux pas. Justine Sacco of the off-color AIDS and Africa joke eventually landed another PR job.
Pay for steak.
I don't know. I do know that when you watch it for the first time, I don't know how you live with yourself and work here. I don't understand it. It feels like it just happened.
It's always going to be there.
Can't take it down.
There you go. I'm guessing you probably understand why I shared it with you now. I think that's a really powerful story, man. It's interesting. It's a lot of ways to look at it. When I first saw it, though, and when it first really had its impact, I was thinking, here's a guy that was programmed. All right, the programming was complete on this guy, and he acted out, and he lost everything. Well, he lost a lot of things, but it looks like he may have gained a lot of great time with his children. I mean, there's something to be said for that, right? Anyway, and that was from a few years ago. Maybe you guys can do it if you're interested and you have time, but I'd like to look up sometime what happened to him now, see what's happening with him and his family now. Anyway, I just want to share that. I thought that was a really good video. Oh, here's another YouTube. Okay, cool. Let's see what we got here. Even I don't know sometimes. I am not sure. Oh, okay. I love when, I don't love when teachers are being bad, but I love when bad teachers get caught, especially when parents, like do things like they did in this video here with their children, kind of set up the teachers. Good stuff. So check this out. And this just happened this week. Here we go.
Teacher accused of bringing her students to tears, and the parents who put a recording device in the bow in their daughter's hair, and what they captured. Here's ABC's Victor Kendo.
You're listening to a Florida kindergarten teacher allegedly berating her young students in class.
Stop talking! For once in your life, stop talking!
Tomas Valerio tells us his daughter was coming home from school in tears daily. Saying the teacher was being mean. He went to the principal, but when things didn't improve, he hid a recording device in his daughter's hair.
Does that help us? We can't even turn one page? Back! Not forward!
Tonight, Valerio wants action and accountability.
Me and my wife, we sat down and we went through all 6 hours of it. And the entire time the teacher was there, she was screaming and belittling these children.
The school district releasing a statement saying, in part, the school administration concluded their investigation and the teacher was disciplined in accordance with our school board policy and procedures, but added that the school's investigation did not include the audio from the recording, claiming the recording violated the teacher's privacy. David, that father tells us he won't be sending his daughter back here. She'll be starting at a new school on Monday. David?
All right, Victor, thanks.
Hi, everyone. George.
Hey, guys, I just want to share that short story. Let's go ahead and keep moving on here. We watched couple videos back to back, so let's chat a little bit. Here's one. Sony creates colossal 16K screen in Japan, and there's a picture of it. Look at that. I mean, there's people out there that have the kind of money where they could afford something like this. Look at that's like a whole wall of your house and more. That thing wrapped around is probably bigger than some apartments some of y'all have out there. I know I've been in some of those. I had a 500 by 500 square foot apartment when I lived in Montrose, California. I lived in the LA area, started in Burbank, moved around a little bit here and there, but I ended up in Montrose, which is kind of in between Pasadena and, well, it's in between Pasadena and Burbank. It's a real cool little spot. It's kind of up in a mountain, but 500 by 500 square foot. The little couch I had was hitting both walls. It was one of those kind of places. But when you walked out on the front porch, you were looking at the backside of a mountain. So that was kind of nice. But, I couldn't afford a 16K screen back then. I don't think I could now either. I imagine it's a lot of money. And 16K. Like, I really think that almost, I wonder, wrapped around, if that was put into a square, how many square foot that would cover. I don't know. I'm bad with numbers. Some of you may be able to figure that out, but that'd be crazy if that was like 500 by 500 somehow. And it'd be even crazier if I actually would have bought one when I lived in Montrose and put it on all my walls and been constantly surrounded by that black screen, constantly surrounded by that scrying mirror, a digital scrying mirror. That's what all these black screens are. Introducing us to, other dimensions, if you will. 16K screen. Might be able to live inside that. Let's just come back to this one. That's a good one, but I want to go through some stories here first for a bit. I think there's only a couple other videos tonight, but they're good. Not tooting my own horn here, but beep, beep. We got some cool stuff to check out and some interesting stuff. And speaking of which, fast food chain to test market cannabis-infused cheeseburgers. Can you imagine? April 20th, which is coming up, it's a couple days away, 420. For those of you in the know, April 20th, it's also Hitler's birthday, right? Interesting that. April 20th, known in the U.S. as 420, has been a special day for cannabis users since the 70s. This year, it's being celebrated by hugely popular fast food chain Carl's Jr. with the trial of a CBD-infused burger. CBD, it should be noted, is the component of cannabis that doesn't produce a high. Okay, so yeah, right. CBD, they're putting CBD in everything. It's also so mainstream. About you all listening in other countries other than America, do they sell a lot of CBD products around you? Are there stores that sell CBD? Where I live, there's tons of stores. There's even a real big one called CBD Plus, but there's tons of little stores too, just popping up all the time selling CBD products. Some of them are becoming dispensaries now. Where we live, medical has been approved. So within the next couple of years, most likely it's going to be, for everybody. That seems to be the way the pattern moves. Starts off with medical, and then soon after they make it okay for recreational. So we'll see. I don't know, but it should be noted is the component of cannabis that doesn't produce a high. It has had various health-related claims made for it, though. It's been touted as a remedy for anxiety, depression, acne, and heart disease. My dad uses CBD, by the way, and he loves it. Apparently it chills him out, from what I understand, from what he tells me. That's good. It's even said to reverse some cases of cancer. And in a week when we're being reminded that almost any amount of red meat can lead to bowel cancer, it might be a good idea to add a little CBD to every burger. Carl's Jr. experimental CBD burger will be called the Rocky Mountain High Cheeseburger Delight. I guess that's a picture of it. I've been plant-based diet now since the heart attack for so long. I eat a little meat, though. A couple meals a week, though, I'll have some meat or chicken, usually, maybe some fish. Occasionally beef or whatever. But even I've been plant-based so long that even looking at hamburgers and stuff makes me kind of sick to my stomach. I just see fried flesh. Hey. I see fried flesh surrounded by a bunch of sweet sauce. Like that sorry. I'm not trying to be a snob about it either. It's just plant-based has worked really well for me. And like I said, just over the last few months, allowing in a few meals a week of like some chicken or whatever. I get cravings, like I actually craved a Reuben sandwich crazy, like about a week ago or so, man. I was just going nuts. I couldn't stop thinking about Reuben sandwiches. So I went and got me a Reuben sandwich, and it was probably the best one I've ever had in my entire life. So a few days later, I figured I'm going to go get another Reuben sandwich. And when I went and walked into the place, even just the smell of the meat and everything made me want to hurl. Was completely turned off. And I looked around, I could see some people eating different sandwiches, and it went back to the whole thing where all I could see was just fried flesh surrounded by sweet sauce. I didn't get a Reuben that night. Perhaps I will again in the future. I'll keep you updated. As if you care. Cannabidiol. Look at that word. Cannabidiol, known as CBD. Let's just call it CBD, is a chemical component of cannabis that doesn't contain the psychoactive components. The US FDA has said that CBD remains a drug ingredient and as a result is illegal to add to food and health products. While some cannabis products have been approved for medicinal use in the UK, recreational use of the drug remains illegal. Well, that answers my question about the UK. All right. There you have it. 420. 420, y'all. Get your cheeseburger. Get your little cheeseburgers. Fried flesh with sweet sauce. I'm sorry. Man filmed using liters of human blood to create painting on school wall. What could go wrong? Just the headline alone when I saw this. Just, is this really... we don't need to watch a video. Let's just read here. There's some footage. I'm just going to pause it. All right. Julian Castillo, 26, took 2 months and used 2.5 liters of blood from 12 different donors to create the bloody mural. The tattoo artist from Roldanillo, Colombia, created the mural at the School of Belisario Pena Pinheiro in an attempt to make a statement against innocent blood being shed. Okay. He also did it in favor of building a society that was, quote, free of oppression and injustice following a national student strike in the city of Cali. In the video, Julian pours the deep red blood from a bottle into a plastic cup. He then stands next to the art that measures almost twice the height of him. In another clip, the artist can be seen painting the blood onto the mustard-colored backdrop using a long brush. He later said, I thought people would react badly to my artwork for using blood as a material, but actually a lot of people like it. I'm just trying to see if I can find a picture. Okay, there we go. I think that's a picture of it. There it is. So that's what he did. The painting in blood really grosses me out. Even if he truly means this as some kind of an artistic expression or something, like it's just, I don't know. Anyway, that's the picture. He did good, but he used blood. Just the headline alone. Man filmed using liters of human blood to create painting on school wall. I don't know, man. Keep that away from the kids, right? At the very least, keep it away from the kids. Mum's Cannibal Cakes. It's funny how they say mum. It's funny to us here in America, isn't it? Mom. We say mom. Mom, mama. I hope you're not an adult and say mommy. I don't know your relationship with your parents. But I hope, well, especially for the men, us guys, we definitely shouldn't be saying mommy or daddy. Maybe some of the ladies can get away with it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Anyway, Mum's Cannibal Cakes horrify followers who think they're real human flesh. So more of this cannibalism stuff. More of that kind of news. And that is really gross. And apparently it's just a cake. From severed fingers, feet, and arms, Tanya Nisa, 42, from Lincoln, has spent the past 7 years perfecting her craft of gory cakes after being inspired by the film Hannibal. Yet the realistic cakes, seeping fake blood and profiling severed limbs and lifelike faces have scared many online. Tanya, an interior designer, has been forced to explain her creations are actually freshly Victoria sponge cakes. But she was left mortified after online trolls branded her a cannibal and claimed the cakes showed real human body parts and made them feel sick. I can get scared looking at them because my creations end up looking so lifelike. People's reactions are hilarious. They either hate them and don't believe it's a cake or love it. Some people have even called me a cannibal. My girls hate them, though, and I have to hide severed fingers in the kitchen as it grosses them out too much. And just more of this stuff around the children, too. That's always the thing, right? More of the gross, the blood around the kids, the gross, the gore around the children. I don't want to date my age too much, but I'll say this. When I was very little, I mean 7 or 8, way back in those days, we had something called TV Guide. I don't know if they still have those in people's homes or not. I don't. But you would get the TV guide. We didn't have internet and all this, and the TV guide would show you what's coming on throughout the week and at what time. And anyway, so I was looking through the TV guide. I was at my grandma and grandpa's place. I'm probably 7 or 8 years old at the time. I won't tell you what TV show this image was from, but when I opened up the TV guide, there was an image of a show, police type show, and there was a guy that looked like dead laying on the side of a highway, and a police officer kind of standing over him, like, you know, trying to see what's going on. Just kind of like, just that little image was in the TV guide, black and white picture. And it sent me bawling. Like, I just started freaking out at that, you know, just because even at that age, that was so gross to me, and it felt so real. You know, I thought I was looking at a real dead body laying on the side of the road, and I totally freaked out. And, you know, they finally calmed me down or whatever, but I don't remember what happened after that. It's been a long time, but I just remember that image. I remember not liking it and just really being affected by the violence of it, the darkness of it. 7 or 8 years old. Look at me now. Ta-da. No, but I come a long way, didn't I? You know, I don't really get scared by much at all anymore, but still, it's the idea of people putting this kind of gross, violent stuff around their kids. That's just, right? Anyway, that's me. So, okay, shirtless Florida man, 32, is arrested outside an Olive Garden while shoving spaghetti into his mouth after harassing customers. Whoa. A drunk, shirtless man has been arrested outside a Florida Olive Garden while shoving pasta into his mouth and harassing customers. Ben Paget, 32, was taken into custody in Naples, Florida at around 33. There's the 33, 3:30 p.m. Saturday. Before arresting him, officers gave him paper towel to wipe his mouth. Paget allegedly walked into the Olive Garden, shouted at staff and customers, and ranted, according to the Miami Herald. He also allegedly screamed profanities at patrons as they entered the restaurant while he was sitting outside. It's unclear how he obtained the pasta he was eating when the police arrived. Witnesses said he had been shouting at patrons, asking them for money beforehand. One staff member said he taunted him by asking him whether he had male or female genitalia. And there you go. I don't know what to think about this one. Ben Paget, 32, at around 33, 3:30. I don't know. I pulled this because I'm working on 3 different videos. I'm always working on something, but one of them has to do with the proliferation of news stories I've noticed over the last several months of people getting naked and going crazy in public. I did a video on this way back in 2016 as well, but it keeps happening, and these stories are insane. So I'm doing a fun compilation type, I guess, video on that, if you will, on all the stories of people not only just being naked and acting crazy, but a lot of them having the strength, even the police officers say, of 3 or 4 men. Sometimes these people are growling like animals or creatures. It's interesting to me. So there you go. There you go. That guy was being naughty. Shame on him. This is from the 15th. Teen girls staged school walkout to protest boys in their bathroom who claim to be, quote, girls. What could go wrong? Like when Target started this thing, when they started opening the bathrooms to all genders and all this, and you started seeing a lot of schools do it as well, and other businesses. A few weeks back, I went and saw a local live music show. One of those like $7 you get in type things, and just some random kind of band type stuff. I like checking these things out from time to time, but even in there, I was confused by their bathrooms. They had 2, and they were both labeled the same thing, and they both were, I think it was like WS or SW was all they had on both the doors. So, and I, was hanging out there for a while. So eventually I needed to go number 1. So I know too much information. So I had to like watch both of these doors and see who went into what, and it was all everything, man, men, women, whatever. There were a couple of in-betweens there as well, probably. I don't know. So yeah, so I eventually just used one of those, and everything's fine. But yeah, it's a thing. You know, this is a thing. So with that trend going on the last few years, this story here should be no surprise, right? The backlash against the relentless assault on nearly every civilizational institution by transgender activists seems to be slowly increasing as ordinary men and women realize the implications of the trans agenda and the abolition of gender. Muslim parents in the UK pulled hundreds of children out of school, forcing a shutdown of recently implemented LGBT programming. And as I reported back in February, students are pushing back, signing petitions demanding the return of their gender-segregated bathrooms, and even suing their high schools in order to retrieve their right to privacy. This is on LifeSite News, so I'm guessing it's like an editorial, all right? So it's going to be like an opinion piece or whatever. Last week, the debate erupted again in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Two groups of students staged a walkout at Abraham Lincoln High School over bathroom privacy, with the protest being sparked by a girl who stated that her privacy was violated by a biological male who had recently began to identify as a girl using the female bathrooms. She was joined by about 20 other high school girls who left the school at 10:30 a.m. and began chanting for privacy in restrooms, saying they don't want boys transitioning into being girls to be in the restroom with them. It is worth noting that much of the transgender ideology is so new that if someone had predicted high school girls would be fighting to keep biological males out of their bathrooms 10 years ago, LGBT activists would have accused those making these predictions of fear-mongering, bigotry, and deceit. Now, of course, if you defend the right of young girls to be uncomfortable with penises in their bathrooms and change rooms, you're guilty of transphobia. Some trans activists have gone so far as to say that girls uncomfortable changing in the presence of biological boys need to get over their internalized transphobia. The 20 girls demanding privacy were confronted by nearly 40 students of mixed gender chanting in favor of state law, which requires schools to allow students to use whichever bathroom they feel most comfortable with, irrespective of the feelings of female students. Many of the girls made their feelings crystal clear. We felt very uncomfortable with a male who's not doing anything to be transgender going into female restrooms, said Alana Owens. I believe if you have the male parts, you go to the male's bathroom, and if you have the female parts, you go to a ladies' room, and that's just the way I was raised, added Brandy Sherland, almost in tears. Those supporting the so-called right of biological males to use the female bathroom stated that the law is on their side. In response to the student walkout, superintendent of the Council Bluffs Community School District, that's a lot of words. That's a big title. Hi, what do you do for a living? I'm the superintendent of the Council Bluffs Community School District. Actually, here it is. Hi, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm the superintendent of the Council Bluffs Community School District, Dr. Vicki Murillo. What do you do for a living? Anyway, she stated that according to the U.S. Department of Education, which Iowa has adopted the same language and is now part of our state law, our students who are transitioning into a new gender have the right to use, wow, the restroom that they identify with, so it's our obligation to allow that to occur. Murillo did not address the contention of one female student who noted that there was a biological male making no effort to physically transition, joining them in their bathroom. Abraham Lincoln High stated that no students would be punished for the walkout. We're going to see a lot more of these scenarios unfold as the ideology of transgender activists collides with the simple realities of human nature, including the fact that many teenage girls do not want to change in the same room with biological males, and that most people simply do not buy the idea that there are thousands of, quote, girls with wieners inhabiting American high schools. People are also going to get fed up with the new hierarchy of feelings, where trans students cannot be asked to use single-stall bathrooms if they're uncomfortable using the one that matches their sex, but that instead the privacy and feelings of the girls must be sacrificed for the feelings of a few students who have been persuaded that this is their inalienable right. And that's from Gabriel Kubi, it looks like. All right, there you go. Oh, wait, Jonathan Van Maren. There you go. Thanks, Jonathan. Good reporting, sir. A tip of the hat to you, sir. So here's one of the stories. As I said, there's a lot of these stories been coming out here lately about naked crime. You know, people getting naked and committing strange crimes. So let's pause this. We're just going to read through. Naked knife-wielding suspect plows into Palmdale Carl's Jr. before being shot dead by McDonald's guard. A naked 29-year-old man brandishing a knife was shot and killed by a security guard after a bizarre series of events Sunday afternoon in which he reportedly plowed his car into a Palmdale fast food restaurant and then stabbed an elderly man at an adjoining eatery. The incident played out at around 4:30 p.m. in the area of 25th Street and East Avenue S. It began when the suspect, described initially as a shirtless Latino man, crashed his car into the wall of a Carl's Jr. restaurant, according to the LA County Sheriff's Department. He then got out and ran across the street to a nearby McDonald's, during which time he undressed completely. Okay. Again, I'm telling you guys, I'm going to show you, you'll see. There's a lot of these stories about people doing this, going crazy, and then just taking off their clothes, getting naked, much like the definition of one of the demons that Jesus encountered, right? Wasn't he? I believe he was naked and acted like an animal, had the strength of many men. Legion. So yeah, a lot of this crazy naked crime. Deputies said the man, now naked, entered the McDonald's and stabbed an 88-year-old man who was eating with his grandson. There's something with the number 88. Casey's done a lot of work on that. Enter the Stars has, I believe, and it seems I may have seen some other things out there on 88, but there's some significance with that number. Maybe it's another name for Jesus, perhaps. I'm not sure, but some of y'all may know. Some of you can look it up, let us know, but just throwing that out there. I don't know if it means anything or if it's fully connected to this or whatever, but still just putting it out there. That'd be interesting if it was 88 was the meaning of Jesus's name. You look in the Bible codes or in gematria or whatever. If it was, because here's another encounter with a naked demon-possessed man, right? As a suspect was coming out of the McDonald's, he was confronted by an armed security guard, the sheriff's department said. When he tried to assault the guard shot him at least once, hitting him in the upper torso, deputies said. Both the suspect and the stabbed customer were taken to local hospitals. The suspect was pronounced dead, while a stabbing victim was listed in stable condition and was expected to survive, officials at the scene told CBS 2. There you go. There you go. Pretty wild. Wow, look at that creepy picture up there at the right of Hillary Clinton. It says Hillary Clinton video is so shocking, Trump won't mention it. I mean, that is totally the definition of clickbait. But I'm sure a lot of people have probably clicked it. Just by the creepy picture alone. That's so not right. The POV. I wouldn't want to be the dude holding the camera. I know that's a photoshopped picture there, but still. If that were real, that's just too close for comfort. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm not trying to be rude here or anything. I'm just saying. There's more garbage than fish in the world oceans. In Karatsini, the fish market is open 24 hours. This is in Greece. Under the floodlights, the crew wearing rubber waders and boots to fight the cold wash down the boats that come into the harbor. They are also in charge of the repairs of the nets dangling from boat cranes. They do all that after they have put ice on the basket of shrimp, mullet, calamari, and hake or hockey, I'm not sure, all taken from their latest pick. Recently, fish gets caught in the net. Okay, am I just reading this wrong or is this written weird? Recently, fish gets caught in the net. There have been a lot of other objects. Okay, yeah, this is written weird. We are talking about waste. A lot of garbage gets caught in the nets, says Dimitri Delianis. We find it almost every night, just about everywhere. Fighting for an environmental cause was far from the mind of the 47-year-old fisherman Dimitri. Like any captain of the sea all over the world, catching fish has always been the first on his mind. However, after living 30 arduous life at sea, he begins, I mean, they do pretty good. They got some big words in there. Some of this has some flow, but then, after living 30 arduous life at sea, right? So he begins to see how people have significantly changed the contents of the ocean. It's like there's more garbage than fish, and it's devastating, Dalianis said. This is on Science Times, by the way. So I don't know if that legitimizes this, but maybe. Anyway, I'm getting bored with this article, but I think we get the point. I think. We'll come back to that. This one's just kind of random, and I wanted to share. New Yorkers are completely unfazed by bizarre alien subway entertainer during their morning commute. So I'm one of these people that, I don't pretend to know everything about, like I said, lizard people. I mean, there may be some strange factors thrown in there as far as other communities of creatures out there, but I'm not a big fan of the idea of aliens, quote unquote. I've always believed these are the fallen ones, also demonic entities or interdimensional beings. There's also connections with all this to the Greys, quote unquote. You can even go back to Aleister Crowley on that and look up Lam, L-A-M. It's an image he drew of the demon that he had summoned and getting information from the other side and all this. I've got a story on Aleister Crowley in here somewhere too, I guess, so it's probably a good idea I'm bringing this up. Anyway, called the wickedest man in the world, and definitely a real-life dark wizard, that existed. Kind of like the back in the days version of today's, or the today's version of him would be Marina Abramovic, right? Something like that, like a real-life sorcerer or sorceress or witch that has connections with Hollywood elite and also politicians. So check that out. So yeah, and the image he drew looked a lot like a gray alien, what we see as gray aliens. There's also a really fun one you can check out as far as symbols. You can take like an Apple logo from Apple products. You can take two of those and put them kind of side by side, crossing the top little, it's supposed to be the leaf, but connecting the leaves, and it forms a perfect, two of those together, a perfect gray alien. So that's something you can try if you've never seen that one before. But so that's where I'm at with this stuff. And, I've made a lot of videos on the subject, but here's the thing. Just another day on the New York subway. Video posted by Hannah Kaiser showed a bizarre alien-themed performance taking place in the middle of the subway cars as commuters carried on their daily journey as if nothing was happening. I'll just see if I can find the video here. Gotta do that. So I see these more of in some way as spirits. So when I see stuff like this, it just makes me think that this person may have one of these kind of spirits on them. Maybe they did too much DMT. I'm not sure. You guys ever been on a subway? I know that not everybody has, but have you ever been on a subway? Even like, New York, for one, great example. I lived in Brooklyn for a little while right after film school. Then I moved out to California. And I think it was the L train I took to get from Brooklyn into the city where I worked at the time. I worked for a company called Fangoria. I think they're still around, but it's, you know, for years was one of their premier kind of horror magazines. And they were branching out into internet stuff, so I got to work there for a while and did some pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, so I don't even know if that's part of them are still around, but Fangoria is where I worked for quite a while. And I got to ride a lot of subways, and it's a real experience, man. It's a real experience. And you do kind of learn to just stay in your own zone. Having phones helps, I'm sure now, you know. I can't remember if we had phones back then or not, but now it's sure easy enough. It looked like everyone's just kind of staring at their phone anyway. So I'm rambling. But yeah, it's an experience riding on subways for sure, especially when there's weird fallen angel demonic interdimensionals trying to mess with your space. This one's pretty cool. U.S. Air Force pilots struggle to explain mystery UFOs seen, quote, falling from the sky from Anchorage, Alaska. Let's take a look. Let's roll some of this UFO footage, shall we? Take a look at this. UFO seen plummeting towards Earth as left. Here we go. I'll make it a little bigger. That's cool. What do you think that could be? Is it a circle? Are we seeing like the side of a circle? One of those black smoke circle type UFOs or portals? Or is that something falling down to the ground? What do you think? It's pretty crazy. What's Occam's razor on this, I guess? Interesting, eh? Let's read a little bit about this and see what they say. The UFO seen plummeting towards Earth has left U.S. Air Force bosses baffled. Footage filmed in Anchorage in the U.S. state of Alaska shows what looks like two plumes of black smoke trailing a mysterious object which appears to have a light guiding its way. A variety of military aircraft operate out of the nearby Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, but spokeswoman Erin Eaton said the sighting was nothing to do with them. That doesn't look like any of our planes, she said. Officials from the FAA added that the object in the video was not an aircraft and that it hadn't received any reports of aviation issues at the time. So yeah, I guess it is something falling. So they say, look at that. Being guided by a light. Is that like lightning falling to the earth? But some experts still think a plane is the likeliest explanation. Peter Davidson, director of the Washington-based National UFO Reporting Center, said that the video showed a, quote, high-altitude jet airliner with a contrail behind it. It is in level flight, but because it is flying away from the camera, it appears to be falling, he said. It is not, but parallax makes it look that way. And Adonis Bao, who shot the video, was not convinced. The 18-year-old said the object looked like something coming into the atmosphere. Oh, that's a good close-up. Interesting. Me and my mom were just coming into the parking lot of our house, and that's when I noticed that something was falling from the sky, he said. I thought it was a meteor or something coming into the atmosphere. I actually never saw something like this before. Another witness agreed, said it didn't look like an airplane or one of those jets. It was big, super slow, and red. I really just thought it might be an asteroid. Aircraft operating out of Joint Base Elmendorf. Blah, 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 blah. Huh. Interesting. What do you think it is? I think this would be fun. This is something that we can do together. And you're always saying we don't spend enough time together. So I figured I would take you on a ride on a roller coaster, but not just any roller coaster. It's the world's fastest, longest, and tallest dive roller coaster. So let's see if we can watch this here. All right, you ready? This is actually pretty cool. I watched it a few times earlier with Chubbs. All right, check it out. That's pretty much it. I can only handle so much screaming anyway. But I hope you enjoyed that. Do you, in real life, like those kinds of things? Do you like these crazy roller coasters? I went to the state fair last year. First time I'd been on some rides in a long time, and I kind of got scared on a couple of them. I'll be honest with you. It's been a long time, you know. Some of these things go real high up. It's like I'm not used to that. It's been a long time since I'd done anything like that. I mean, I hit it well. I didn't show that, you know, I was with friends. But I got a little scared. I'm going to admit, I got a little scared. This is crazy. Check this. Quote, demon with fangs arrested after woman found dead with, quote, bite marks on neck. And I guess this guy was some kind of, he'd been on TV before. That's him. A man with fangs in his mouth and eyes like a demon has been arrested over the alleged murder of a popular tattoo artist found with bite marks on her neck. Tatiana Podvashtilai, can't say that. But that young lady was found, 27, was found dead in her apartment in Ternopil, Ukraine, with stab wounds and bites on her neck. Police have detained 26-year-old Andrei Gorbatyuk in the murder probe and say he is suspected of visiting the victim on the night she died. Detectives had earlier issued an appeal for the guy, one of Tatiana's customers, and asked the public to report any sightings of the suspect. He was described as having fangs in his mouth and eyes like a demon and small horns on his forehead, according to media reports citing the police appeal. We always talk about this. It always starts in, right? And then everything in eventually manifests out on all of us. And, you know, this is what's controlling him. It's the way I see these things. That's what's in him. I guess that's the girl. His tongue is cut in half, his ears pointed. He has tattoos on his eyes and spikes on the back of his neck. The eye tattoo was reportedly done by Tatiana, who was a trained doctor specializing in gynecology before switching careers. Police said the wanted man of the murder probe had been held and is now in temporary detention. Oh, well. I don't like looking at that stuff too long either, huh? It's sad, man. It's sad. It's like these people lost the fight. You know, it's what I see when I see that. They lost the battle. Family dog found dead, digs his way out of his grave and returns to owners. Deke. It's got to be Deke. Well, they wouldn't name their dog Dick, would they? That's not even, I don't know. Deke? I'm guessing Deke. Who would name their dog Dick? I'm just saying. Doesn't always have to have a naughty connotation, but it's just the way the world is now. It almost always will with a lot of people. Come on, people are raised on Family Guy and stuff like that these days, unfortunately. See how quickly that changed? Some of us started with The Simpsons, and then it got into like Family Guy. I mean, comparatively, it's like PG, PG-13 to X, you know, to me, the way I see that stuff. A family dog who was buried after his owners thought he was dead managed to dig himself out of his grave and make his way home. Deke, we'll call him, 18, was discovered motionless on his blanket at his home in the Russian village of Novanakolsk. I don't know. His heartbroken owners, 2 elderly sisters, were unable to wake him up and due to his age assumed he was dead. They then gathered together to give him a funeral at a pet ceremony in the village, which is in Russia's far eastern Primorsky Krai region. Aw. There he is. But he woke up shortly after being buried and managed to claw his way out of his shallow grave and run to safety. He ended up at the side of a nearby motorway where passers-by spotted the exhausted dog. They scooped him up and took him to Open Your Heart Pet Shelter. Deke's owners spotted the pictures and came to the pet shelter to take him home. They then took him back out to the woods and tried to bury him again. I'm just kidding. I added that part. Irina Mudrova, who is head of the shelter, said fortunately they buried him not deep underground and he managed to get to the surface after regaining consciousness. His owners, 2 elderly sisters, came to take him home and cried. He has now been reunited with his relieved family, but the story has caused some talk in the village, with some referring to Pet Cemetery. A horror movie and film by Stephen King where buried pets return to life. Yep. Another one, guys. We talked about this last week, too. About how oftentimes, quote, reality and entertainment, movies, TV shows, like mirror each other in some warped ways. I think this could probably be taken, you know, a number of ways, but church membership in U.S. plummets over past 20 years. Percentage of U.S. adults who belong to a church or other religious institution has plunged by 20 percentage points over the past 2 decades, hitting a low of 50% last year, according to a new Gallup poll. Among major demographic groups, the biggest drops were recorded among Democrats and Hispanics. Gallup said church membership was 70% in 1999 and close to or higher than that figure for most of the 20th century. Since 1999, the figure has fallen steadily, while the percentage of U.S. adults with no religious affiliation has jumped from 8% to 19%. Among Americans identifying with a particular religion, there was a sharp drop in church membership among Catholics, dropping from 76% to 63% over the past 2 decades as the church was buffeted by clergy sex abuse scandals. Membership among Protestants dropped from 73% to 67% over the same period. Among Hispanic Americans, church membership dropped from 68% to 45%. Wow, that's big. Since 2000, a much bigger decline than for non-Hispanic white and black Americans. There is a big discrepancy over that 20-year period in regard to political affiliation. Church membership among Democrats fell from 71% to 48%, compared to a more modest drop from 77 to 69 among Republicans. David Campbell, a University of Notre Dame political science professor who studies religion's role in U.S. civic life, attributed the partisan divide to the allergic reaction many Americans have to the mixture of religion and conservative politics. Increasingly, Americans associate religion with the Republican Party, and if they're not Republicans themselves, they turn away from religion, he said. Mark Chavez, a professor of sociology, religion, and divinity at Duke University, said that as recently as the 1970s, it was difficult to predict someone's political party by the regularity with which they went to church. Now it's one of the best predictors, he said. The correlation between religiosity and being Republican has increased over the years. There you go. Interesting, eh? Could be taken a number of ways. We think maybe the end of the church age, right? Maybe more people are gathering in smaller groups online and even at their homes. You know, maybe that's what it's turning more into. More, really dealing more with our personal relationships with God through Christ and living it. And again, like I said, sharing it in smaller groups. Obviously, online has been a great place for that, for the communities. So, maybe that's all a bit of it as well. The veil, ripping, the curtain dropping. This is a really wild one. Texas baby born without skin leaves doctors scrambling for answers and battling to save his life. A Texas couple is desperately hoping to receive some answers after their son was born with an extremely rare skin condition that left even the most qualified of specialists stunned. On January 1st, Priscilla Maldonado Gray and Marvin Gray welcomed their third child. I'll pause it. A son named Jabari Gray into the world. Though the couple initially believed that it would be a normal pregnancy, things quickly turned serious when Jabari arrived weighing only 3 pounds and was missing a majority of his skin, aside from his head and legs, a moment that still remains vivid in Priscilla's mind. It was just completely silent, she told the news. You expect people to be happy after you have a baby, and I had no idea until they put me in a room and explained what was going on. I was just confused and lost. I didn't know what was going on or what was going to happen. In addition to lacking part of the body's largest organ, Priscilla revealed on a GoFundMe campaign that her son's chin was fused to his chest while his eyes are fused shut. And the 3-month-old's fingers are also conjoined. So I don't want to look at that too long, but there's a picture here. Poor little guy. So Jabari was initially diagnosed with a rare skin condition called aplasia cutis. According to the Genetic and Rare Diseases Information Center, is when someone is born without skin. Though it most commonly affects the scalp, the condition can affect any part of the body. Last week, however, the baby was transferred to Texas Children's Hospital in Houston so experienced specialists could examine Jabari and determine how to better tend to his ailments. While treating Jabari, who currently needs to be fed through a tube inserted in his nose, wow, if anybody ever needs prayers, guys, for sure, right? It's Jabari, it's the family. While treating Jabari, who currently needs to be fed through a tube inserted in his nose and requires frequent dressing changes with pain medication and topical ointments, doctors began to question the underlying cause of his ailment. San Antonio Express News reports. It was then that they concluded Jabari, who now weighs 8 pounds, may not have aplasia cutis after all, and instead may suffer from a rare disorder called epidermolysis. That's a tough one for me. I don't know why. Bullosa. The genetic condition, which affects 20 American newborns out of 1 million births, causes the skin to become very fragile and blister easily, according to the U.S. National Library of Medicine. In order to determine their theory, doctors are now preparing to perform genetic testing on both Priscilla, 25, and Marvin, 34, as well as Jabari, a process which Priscilla said could take some time. It could be 2 to 3 weeks before they have an answer, she told the news. They don't want to treat my son for the wrong thing. We want to find an answer right now, but everything's in the air. While they wait to see what caused the little boy to be missing the majority of his skin, doctors are planning another surgery that will try to separate his throat and chin from his chest, as they are currently fused together because of his scar tissue. Anyway. Yep, they definitely need our prayers, huh? How about this? How about this story? Man with gas cans at cathedral is New Jersey college professor who teaches God class. This is from Associated Press originally. The man arrested while carrying cans of gasoline and lighter fluid at New York St. Patrick's Cathedral is a college professor from New Jersey who teaches a course on the existence of God and had previously been arrested at a New Jersey cathedral days earlier. The man was arrested Wednesday after entering the church with fuel as well as butane lighters. The arrest came just days after a fire destroyed Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Deputy New York Police Commissioner John Miller says 37-year-old Mark Lamparello of Hasbrook Heights, I like that name, Hasbrook Heights. Sounds like a tough place, doesn't it? What's wrong with your brother? Oh, man, he's been living over in Hasbrook Heights for too long. Mark Lamparello of Hasbrook Heights is facing charges including attempted arson and reckless endangerment for after his arrest Wednesday night at the New York City landmark. Police said the man claimed that he had run out of gas, but they said that was not true. Authorities were trying to figure out his intentions, but said he was already known to police. Before going to St. Patrick's on Wednesday, Miller said Lamparello booked a $2,800 ticket on a 5:20 p.m. Thursday flight to Italy. He'd been arrested Monday at the Cathedral Basilica. Oh, wow. Have you ever seen the symbolism at the Cathedral Basilica? Just do a search on images for that. Basilica symbolism of the Sacred Heart in Newark after he refused to leave at closing time, Miller said. Maria Margiotta, spokeswoman for the Archdiocese of Newark, declined to comment on the specifics of Monday's arrest, citing the ongoing police investigation. Our security is vigilant and ensures a safe environment for all those who visit, she said. Lamparello is listed on the Brooklyn College website as a philosophy professor. His most recent courses included Moral Issues of Business and Introduction to the Problems of Philosophy, which delves into the nature and scope of knowledge, meaning and verification, the existence of God, determinism and free will, the mind-body problem, and the nature of moral judgments. Whoa. He also taught philosophy at Lehman College and was a musical director at St. Joseph in East Rutherford. He's the guy. That's him. Arrest him. His father told the Daily News that he was surprised by the arrest because his son is, quote, brilliant. His writings, other professors can't even understand his writings, his father is quoted as saying. Police said a man had pulled up Wednesday night in a minivan on Fifth Avenue, walked around the area, then returned to his vehicle at 7:55 p.m. and retrieved the gasoline and lighter fluid. As he enters the cathedral, he's confronted by a cathedral security officer who asks him where he's going and informs him he can't proceed into the cathedral carrying these things. So at that point, some gasoline apparently spills out onto the floor as he's turned around. I guess they got him. Security then notified officers from the Counterterrorism Bureau who were standing outside. Miller said the officers caught up to the man and arrested him after he was questioned. His basic story was that he was cutting through the cathedral to get to Madison Avenue, that his car had run out of gas. Miller said We took a look at the vehicle. It was not out of gas. And at that point, he was taken into custody. Interesting, eh? They have these half-hour entertainment Hollywood profile type shows in America. There's all kinds, right? And they usually come on in the evening, sometime after primetime programming. After you've had that programming, they'll come on a little bit later. We get a lot of those little half-hour things like that. And I've seen my share of these stories. They call, when smart people do dumb things, right? Or smart people do the dumbest things. And they'll show these people that had a Hollywood career or whatever coming on, and then they just did one dumb thing and ruined it all. And this seems like one of those cases, doesn't it? And somebody who's real smart does something really dumb. What was he thinking? Got us a little video here. I don't even know if we want to see this one. Video shows man with autism being repeatedly punched and kicked. I was just going to show this because it's another one of those. I've shown these kind of videos before where, I can just explain this one to you and you'll get it. But it's just sad where you'll have tons of footage from different angles of these kinds of incidents now. Nobody jumps in to help at all. They'll just sit there and watch. Even somebody like this, somebody who needs the extra special care. We should really look out for these people, right? People who have autism being beat down and kicked and things like this, and everyone laughing and filming it. So if you want to see that, you can look it up. But, it's pretty rough. I'll just say that. Amazon staff listened to Alexa recordings and put them in chat rooms. I think we already talked about how they'll listen. But about the chat rooms, I didn't know about that. So teams around the world use recordings from Amazon Echo smart speakers to improve how Alexa responds to requests, Bloomberg reported. The website claimed that Amazon staff have occasionally heard distressing recordings, with some workers even sharing funny audio clips in internal chat rooms. In a statement, the online retail giant confirmed that recordings were used to enhance Alexa's ability to understand human language and speech patterns. An Amazon spokeswoman added, "We take the security and privacy of our customers' personal information seriously. We only annotate an extremely small sample of Alexa voice recordings in order to improve the customer experience," said the spokeswoman. Anyway, yeah. I really hope y'all don't have these, just for your own, I guess, safety. It's the society, the way it has been, and the way it's increasingly getting worse about just being so intrusive. There's so many things that are intruding on us. And some things we just give over, like the whole DNA thing, how they sold so many people on, hey, send us your DNA, waka, 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 we'll find out where you come from. And I totally get the appeal of that. I do. I'm adopted, I'm adopted, so I don't really know. So, I see the appeal of that, but now we find out that police have actually used a lot of that information, right, to help out in cases. A lot of the DNA information from these companies. Send us your DNA. Waka, waka, waka. I think we actually watched this trailer probably about a month ago on one of these shows here, one of these What Happened shows. It's pretty scary stuff, though, man. It really is. And I mean, it's another one of these Antichrist movies. You know, I've talked about this before. You know, I mean, it really is programming. It really is lesser magic. You know, they'll put things in movies, TV shows, things like this, and then later we find these things happening. It's weird in one way or another, kind of like that Pet Cemetery story earlier, you know. I'm not saying we're about to see a child demon ruling the world anytime soon, but hey, crazier things have happened. Brightburn trailer plays before Peppa Pig movie in UK terrifies children. Thanks to a blunder at a UK cinema, children were left terrified after a trailer for upcoming film Brightburn played before a screening of a new Peppa Pig movie. Peppa Pig Festival of Fun is a family-friendly film based on the hugely popular kids' TV series of the same name that celebrates the 15th anniversary of the show. In the UK, the film is classed as universal, which means it's suitable for children aged 4 and over, according to the standards of the British Board of Film Classification. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of water here. That's better. I had to wet my whistle, as they say. Does anybody say that anymore? It's the kind of film one would expect to be accompanied by trailers promoting upcoming kid-friendly films like Disney's live-action remake of Aladdin or Pixar's long-awaited Toy Story 4. Instead, Peppa Pig Festival of Fun was preceded by 2 not very age-appropriate trailers, one for superhero horror Brightburn and another for psychological horror Ma, both of which are set for release next month and both of which have an R rating. Again, this is just, I see these glitches in the Matrix or just the beast system just revealing itself. You know, again, it's always with the children, always with the innocent ones, right? It's more of that kind of shock and horror and violence and programming type stuff on the little ones, right? As reported by the BBC, the kids were settling in to watch their Peppa Pig movie at the Empire Cinema in Ipswich when the trailers were shown. Naturally, parents removed their kids from the auditorium as soon as they realized what was happening. But many kids saw enough to leave them in tears. One mother who had taken her 2-year-old daughter and 10-month-old son, I mean, can a 10-month-old really enjoy? Oh, well, I guess it's Peppa Pig, I guess. And 10-month-old son to the cinema said her daughter was left, quote, really subdued by the experience and reprimanded the cinema's manager for the mishap. Meanwhile, Empire Cinemas apologized to the parents and promised it would be investigating the matter further. A spokeswoman stated, as soon as the staff on the site were made aware of the situation, the program was stopped and trailers were taken off screen immediately. We do sincerely apologize for this and for any distress caused, and will be reviewing our internal procedures to ascertain how this came to be. To be fair, Brightburn and Ma do look like pretty scary movies. Directed by just a bunch of movie information. Elizabeth Banks and David Denham is a married couple who end up raising an otherworldly child with superhero-like qualities that's crash-landed to Earth. So again, right, like Satan falling to Earth, the Antichrist, rise of the Antichrist. Essentially a dark take on Superman. The film poses the question of what would happen if such a being became not a superhero, but something more sinister. Exactly which trailer was shown is unknown. All right. Anyway, we get it. Don't we? Wow, this was really crazy. Did you guys hear about this? I don't want to look at it. We're not going to watch it, but man who threw 5-year-old off Mall of America balcony was looking for someone to kill. The man accused of throwing a 5-year-old boy off the 3rd floor balcony at the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota, Friday, told police he had come to the mall that day looking for someone to kill. Emmanuel Aranda, 24, of Minneapolis, was charged Monday with first-degree attempted premeditated murder. According to the charges, the victim's mother said that she and her son were with a friend and a friend's child outside the Rainforest Cafe on the 3rd floor of the mall around 10:15 a.m. when Aranda, whom they did not know, approached them. Aranda came very close to them, so the victim's mother asked if they were in the way and should move. Aranda then picked up her son and threw him off the balcony and fled the scene. Police estimate the child fell approximately 39 feet and landed in front of multiple people. Officers rendered aid to the boy, and he was taken to Children's Hospital. Medical personnel said he had multiple fractured bones in his arms and legs, was bleeding from the head, and had massive head trauma. Another one that needs the prayers, right? A witness tried to keep Aranda from leaving the scene, but he pushed them away and continued running. Officers located him waiting for the light rail train and arrested him. After his arrest, Aranda agreed to speak with officers and admitted he was the one who had thrown the boy off the balcony. He said he'd come to the mall on Thursday planning to kill an adult because they usually stand near the balcony, but it did not, quote, work out. That's frightening. That's really scary. He returned to the mall on Friday. I mean, can you imagine? I've been in some pretty big malls. I'm sure you guys have too. But you'll stand up there, say you're on the 3rd floor. You can stand up kind of on a rail, look down, and kind of see usually like a planetarium or something, or maybe like kids rides down there. They'll have like the little choo-choo trains for the kids and just goofy stuff, or maybe it's just different vendors. But you people watch. It's cool. You'll see all kinds of people. Just imagine being up there on that 3rd floor and just peeking over, and then someone coming up behind you. You're not even expecting it. One hand on the middle of your back, the other one grabs one of your feet, and then just boom, there you go. You're going over. I know that's really, really wild stuff, but I'm just saying, like, that's scary, man. That's real life, creepy, scary stuff. Like, there's people out there that are doing these kinds of crazy things. Aranda said he had been coming to the mall for several years and had made efforts to talk to women in the mall but had been rejected. He said that rejection caused him to lash out and be aggressive. Whoa, so we're dealing with an involuntary celibate, it seems. An INCEL. A lot of those kinds of people are responsible, or at least are a part of a lot of events that happen out there where lots of people get hurt. These incels. Involuntary celibate. We'll read it again. Aranda said he had been coming to the mall for several years and had made efforts to talk to women in the mall, but had been rejected. He said that rejection caused him to lash out and be aggressive. Wow, so that's what I'm saving this one. I'll probably use this sometime in the future. Just another example, though, okay? Remember Elliot Rodger? I think he was one of them. Why don't women like me, right? I'm a good-looking guy. Got a nice car. What's wrong with me? So surveillance video from the mall showed Aranda walking on the 3rd floor and looking over the balcony several times before approaching the victim and his mother. This crime shocked the community, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman said in a statement. That's a child with his mother at a safe public area like a mall. Or that a child with his mother at a safe public area like a mall could be violently attacked for no reason is chilling for everyone. The 5-year-old boy remains in critical condition, according to the criminal complaint. A GoFundMe page set up for the boy said he is in stable condition and had a peaceful sleep Sunday. The GoFundMe already raised more than $600,000 for the child, surpassing the stated goal of $500,000. The Hennepin. Say that 3 times fast. Hennepin. Try that. Hennepin. 3 times fast. Hennepin. I can't do it. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office released the following statement on behalf of the victim's family. The family sincerely appreciates the outpouring of support from the community. The child is currently in critical condition and the family is beginning a long journey to recovery. All right. Hennepin. 40 vegans have been charged over the protest that shut down Melbourne's CBD. Police have charged 40 vegans and their supporters for choking central Melbourne with their calls to end animal cruelty. Vegan activists who shut down the Melbourne CBD. I don't think that's the CBD we were talking about earlier. This is a different CBD. Shut down the Melbourne CBD and targeted abattoirs across the country on Monday. Protesters chained themselves to vehicles in Melbourne's central city, bringing peak hour traffic to a halt on Monday morning at the intersection of Flinders Street and Swanson Street. There they are. I don't get vegan activists. Most of you know, I've talked about this. I had the heart attack several months ago, so at this point, almost completely a plant-based diet, but I'll have some meat, usually chicken or fish, a couple meals a week. I'm with that, but I'm not going to, I'm never going to go chain myself up and interrupt traffic. I mean, not for that cause, right? I don't know. I guess they made their point. Do they help their cause or do they hurt their cause? They're saying, watch Dominion. One protester was charged with obstructing an emergency worker and could be jailed for 5 years. 2 17-year-olds, a 15-year-old, and 36 adults were charged with offenses relating to obstructing a roadway and resisting police. They have been released on bail and will face court at a later date. Activists also invaded abattoirs and farms in Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland, actions Prime Minister Scott Morrison described as un-Australian. The protest during Monday's morning peak commute surprised police, with more than 100 activists blocked the jam-packed intersection outside Flinders Street Station. 3 rental vans were used in the blockade as activists chanted for animal liberation, with some sitting on tram tracks, linking arms in a circle to halt police attempts to break up the protest. A number of people also chained themselves to vehicles that were draped in black and emblazoned with the web address of a vegan film documentary. The activists didn't just face opposition from police, with a number of hecklers slamming the protest, including a man wearing a clown mask who yelled, "Eat more meat," "Eat more meat." Of course, a clown mask. That's great. Those involved in Monday's protest have promised to repeat their actions. All right, anyway. There you go. Crazy vegan story for the week. New York, okay. I'm not much into the political type stuff, but this one right here was crazy. I just wanted to share this. New York Dems block bill expanding college tuition for Gold Star families after approving $27 million in tuition aid for illegal immigrants. I mean, if this is true. New York Assembly Democrats on Tuesday blocked a bill that proposed expanding college tuition aid for children of deceased and disabled military veterans, after, having a week earlier, approved a state budget that set aside $27 million in college tuition aid for illegal immigrants. The Assembly's Higher Education Committee voted 15-11 on Tuesday to shelve the bill, effectively quashing its chances of going to the floor. The decision came after Committee Chair Deborah Glick, Democrat Manhattan, and Speaker Carl Heatzy said $27 million from the state's budget would go towards supporting the Jose Peralta New York State DREAM Act, which allows illegal immigrants to qualify for state aid for higher education, Newsweek reported. Glick said any expansion of college tuition aid to Gold Star families was not within the state's budget, and pointed to an already existing program that provides $2.7 million to 145 students who are dependents of vets who served in combat zones. Anyway, I think that was pretty much it, but just crazy, it's living in the upside down, again, right? It's like, what's up is down and what's down is up. It's crazy, some of these examples. This one's another one. It's just, these are, I really wonder, in some of these, if these people are under some kind of a demonic possession. We'll watch this one together. And it's really kind of what this guy says also I found interesting.
southwest. Shots fired.
You shut him off.
Stay down. Stay down.
I can't move him. No! No! Help! 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 Help!
Don't you move, man. You reach that bar again, I'll put another couple in you.
Kill it! It hurts.
Stay down.
Kill it!
Stay down.
Kill it!
21 Southwest. I'm good. I fired a few rounds at him. Came at me with the bar.
Yes! Out! Kill it!
I'll stop there. We don't need to see that whole thing, but he was saying kill it, you know, again. So I'll just read the rest of it here. Says body cam footage shows Officer Brandon Lee running after suspect Kirk Dustin Shields, who then turns on him with the weapon. The scary ordeal occurred on West Park Place near Oklahoma City Center. Officer Lee can be seen observing the suspect, said to be from the Department of Corrections, from across the road in his police patrol car. As the suspect begins to run, the cop gets out and chases him on foot to the back of wherever. As he reaches the back of the house, the man pulls a crowbar-like weapon and takes aim at the officer. Quick to react, the Officer Lee discharges his taser at the man, but the use of the taser seems to only provoke the man further. Now, it's another one we see with a lot of these cases where I personally think some of these people might have a bad spirit on them. But the use of the taser seems to only provoke the man further, causing him to, again, a lot of people would just blame it on drugs, but that's not it. You're blaming it on what opened these people up to this stuff. That's the way I see it. Causing him to run for the officer, who is forced to retreat. The pair ran back out onto the front lawn of the property, where the cop fires a round of shots at the man, who eventually falls to the floor on the lawn. The man begins to scream out as the officer tells him to remain still. He shouts, kill it, please," although it's unknown what he's talking about. So I think that's the other key part of this for me. Kill it, please. I know I'm just speculating and throwing possibilities out there, but it's almost like, what if he became self-aware of whatever it is that was making him act crazy? I don't know. I know, look, hey, admittedly, I'm a big fan of the X-Files, okay? I've seen every episode. Unsolved Mysteries, I'm there. You know, I've seen them all. So I know sometimes it can just be our imaginations out there, so. But, you know, what if? What if? Let's see how it ends. In a weird moment while the officer waits for backup, the man shouts at him, "You're dying," only for him to respond, No, I'm good." After the arrest, suspect Kirk Dustin Shields was transported to a local hospital and was diagnosed with non-life-threatening injuries. I would say that's a good one on the police officer, wouldn't you? Just did what he needed to get the guy down. Not even going to read all this. Just wanted to show you. This was another really interesting case. You may remember this, right? The cannibal killer frat boy who killed Florida couple believed he was Jesus, saw demons, and became obsessed with, bing bong. Became obsessed with the Illuminati, as his disturbing YouTube channel reveals self-penned rap songs about eating people's faces. That was Austin Haroof. But this was an interesting case too, for, you know, some of these people I believe are possessed. He told the officers when they finally got him after he killed this couple that he wasn't on drugs. He said, "You can test me, you'll see." And he was telling the truth. He came out clean. But then he also said some other things that are pretty wild. He felt he had superpowers within him, and he felt like he was Jesus. He began walking around in a slow, harmonious manner and believed he had a responsibility to fix people's problems. He became preoccupied with the Illuminati. Oh, yeah. Going to try to throw that in. He became preoccupied with the Illuminati as well as religious and philosophical ideas. He was, well, and also, too, you know, hey, there are people that, you know, this stuff will crack. You know, I mean, it's all this stuff is really deep. You know, some of this is, it's real heavy. We forget. I remember when I first, quote, woke up, you know, it's over a decade ago now, but I went through the 5 stages of grief, you know, and it was rough. I was always very, you know, I was ex-military too. So I was always very Republican. And so I had my whole thing shattered. Again, this is a long time ago, but I remember it being a painful process. So, you know, hey, I could also see that as a possibility, you know, that some people can crack, you know, the wrong kinds of people, or sometimes these are just setups. You know, I mean, I don't remember hearing him talk about the Illuminati when I was talking about this story, you know, a couple of years ago. Maybe that's just added in now. I don't know. I mean, the possibilities are out there. He became preoccupied with the Illuminati as well as religious philosophical ideas. He was convinced demons were after him and refused to sleep in the dark. He studied Tony Robbins, Lincoln, and Krishna obsessively. In one instance, he claims to have seen a demon but did not know if he was asleep or awake. He became obsessed with the yin and the yang and good versus evil. Wow. That's interesting. That's a subject that we talk a lot about, right? He believed water was a source of power for him, which allowed him to stay young, and that he was able to manipulate water with his hands. In 2016, he decided he would become a public figure and began creating rap videos under the alias Ousty Frosty. Some of his songs include the disturbing lyrics, "There's a new sheriff in town. He's going to eat you and make you frown." In another self-penned song, he described, because he ate their face off, you know, the victims. In another self-penned song, he described a girl's face as yummy and also shared numerous bodybuilding videos where he posed topless. Okay. Dr. Resnick's report says the fact that he continued to bite his victim in the presence of police officers, in spite of threats of being shot, being tased, and receiving multiple kicks to the head, suggests that Mr. Haruf was actively psychotic. Yeah. Or under a hardcore possession. It went on to conclude Haruf at the time of the attack was suffering from severe bipolar disorder. All right. Anyway, we get it. Check this UFO out. Plane passengers baffled as UFO splits into 6 pieces and vanishes in midair. We'll watch it together. Or will we? Let's see. I'll start reading some. Oh, here we go. It's pretty wild, huh? This is the stunning moment a mysterious aircraft, they're calling it, splits into 6 pieces and vanishes in full view of a shocked passenger aboard a nearby plane. So they called it an aircraft, but could it actually be entities? It seems like it's acting more like a being, like shape-shifting beings, perhaps. Lucas Kim was jetting to Thailand from his home in Seoul, South Korea, when he spotted what he thought was another flight from his window. At first, I thought it was maybe another plane, he said. I thought it was rare to see another plane flying next to your own. So I took out my phone and recorded it. What happened next convinced Mr. Kim he'd seen something genuinely abnormal. When I looked closely, it was not a plane. It was 6 individual pieces or vehicles, he says. It was like a pulsating greenish yellow light. In Lucas' video, the UFO is first visible at a distance. As he zooms in, it quickly becomes apparent there are several points of light moving information like regular aircraft can. Several points of light. Transforms into a being of light. He says, you can believe anything you want, but I truly think I encountered a UFO. The word UFO does not mean it's 100% alien. It simply means flying objects that we don't recognize. It might also be some crazy Russian spy plane. Still, Lucas is open to the idea of extraterrestrial life. He says, I am a Christian, and I'm sure God gave us all of this universe to explore. So I don't think there are other thinking species like us out there, but there might be different animals on other planets. Cool. What do you think it could be? This one's really weird. Mysterious bowls of mashed potatoes confuse Mississippians. I like that. The mysterious bowls of mashed potatoes. That'd be a good name for a punk band, wouldn't it? A garage band? We're the mysterious bowls of mashed potatoes. Oh, or a mbomp. M-B-O-M-P. Mbomp. There you go. Residents of the neighborhood in Jackson, Mississippi are confused by the bowls of mashed potatoes they're finding on their cars, porches, and mailboxes. Resident Jordan Lewis described the Bellhaven neighborhood as a quirky one, with residents decorating road signs and putting Christmas trees in potholes. So we don't know if someone is just playing a prank or if someone just had a lot of leftovers, Lewis said. But Sebastian Berngard says some residents fear there's a more sinister message behind the potatoes. Some people were thinking maybe the mashed potatoes were poisoned to kill animals, he said, noting that he almost stepped into a bowl of potatoes Tuesday. Oh, dear. I didn't taste it. I have a 3-second rule, so I didn't touch it. But some people were worried. It's unclear if anyone has eaten the potatoes. And news outlets report residents haven't alerted law enforcement. Resident Michaela Lynn says some of the potato finders have connections to a local private Christian university, which may be a clue. Bum, bum, bum. Who's setting out the mysterious bowls of mashed potatoes? Oh, yeah, here's that other story here about creepy Aleister Crowley. Ruins of historic Boleskine, I may not be pronouncing that right, house on Loch Ness up for sale. The ruined former home of notorious Satanist Aleister Crowley has been put up for sale. It's on the market along with over 22 acres of land for over 500,000, whatever that is. I know you guys have told me. I'm sorry, I forgot. Mr. Crowley is said to have carried out what he claimed were black magic rituals at the property near Foyers between 1899 and 1913. The building, which was later owned by musician Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, is reported. I don't even think I wanted to see this one. Looking at that earlier. Oh, this one. Okay, yeah. So this one came back into the news. The Turpin family, David and Louise Turpin. I'll show you their picture. These people. Did you hear about this story? The shocking 911 call made by one of the California House of Horrors children that led to 13 siblings being rescued has emerged just one day before the parents are due to be sentenced. David Turpin, 57, and his wife, Louise, 50, will be sentenced to at least 25 years in prison on Friday after pleading guilty to abusing and imprisoning their children in their home. They were arrested in January 2018 after their 17-year-old daughter, Jordan, managed to escape from the home and call 911 to report that her parents were abusive and some of her siblings were chained to their beds. The chilling 911 call audio obtained by ABC News on Thursday lasted for 20 minutes as the daughter told the dispatcher of the abuse and struggled to work out her address because she had not been outside alone before. Anyway. Yeah, these people. They're creepy. I live in a family of 15 people and my parents are abusive. My sisters are chained up. That's the 911 call. That's all. Just sharing that. Creepy family. Great thing they got busted. Vanderpump Rules. Do you guys watch that? I guess it's a show. Stacy Schroeder consults an oracle to help exorcise demons causing outbursts in her relationship with Bo Clark. In an episode where Lala Kent broke down as she finally admitted being an alcoholic, Stassi, 30, took drastic steps to control, quote, demons she blamed for the outbursts threatening her relationship with her boyfriend. Katie Maloney Schwartz, 31, took her friend to the appointment at Amanda Yates Garcia's house, calling her a bona fide witch. I want to be exorcised to get the demon out of me, Stasi insisted. And this is just feeding the occult, definitely the wrong messages to the masses, right? What's this show again? Vanderpump Rules? I'm guessing that's a thing. I don't know. However, once at the house where she was made to go through a clearing ceremony before entering, Stasi admitted, I feel like I just walked into the Blair Witch house. Right, so she's felt the oppressive spirit, probably, I'm guessing. She soon got emotional as she spoke about Bo, calling him somebody so wonderful who she feared losing. That demonic spirit is coming to visit you, possessing you while you do these angry outbursts, the oracle told her. You don't need it anymore. She said a bad word, said, I haven't just been mean, I've been demonic, the lady said about herself. After sitting in a yoga-like pose while Amanda chanted, and for the cameras, Stasi insisted, I'm feeling hopeful and helpless at the same time. I feel like this is one of the most emotionally draining experiences of my entire life. She later told the oracle she was feeling younger and lighter. Reminds me of the end of The Witch. Spoiler alert. Have you ever seen The Witch? She was feeling younger and lighter, likening it to a cloud on the best day ever, like a freaking Mario Cloud. Witchcraft. Just mainstreaming it. Check this out. There's nothing sacred. It's been this way for a long time, but it's crazy the lengths they go to, the way this kind of stuff manifests. I mean, nothing's sacred. Not that none of these things deserve to be sacred anyway. All right, I get that, but KFC have given Colonel Sanders a whole new look, and it's left fans flustered, and now they've made him into this. I guess that's supposed to be a hunky dude. Where it used to be this. This is the Colonel Sanders I know. Okay? That's the one I remember. Not this. It's nothing sacred. And, it, you know, I'm not attached to this stuff either way, especially the corporate fast food stuff. And a lot of this food's weaponized, I believe. But still. Ugh. He's got a girlfriend named Dagny, D-A-G-N-Y. I thought that was a mannequin. This one's goofy. It's also, there's a segment of a video I'm working on that has to do with some of this stuff, the strange things people are marrying. But man 29 in relationship with robot reveals they plan on getting married. Could just be a whole troll, obviously. I don't know. Let's see. Let's read it together. A man in love with a robot has revealed they are planning on getting married. Joey Morris fell head over heels with Robotroll almost 2 years ago after being drawn to his satisfied smile and popping pink hair. The 29-year-old's previous lovers include a lamp, a transformer truck, and even a Halloween figurine. But the relationship didn't last as Joey's attention waned. He began dating Robotroll in December 2017 after feeling nostalgic and rekindled his love for the Battle Trolls collection online. Smitten Joey from Taneytown, Maryland, U.S. was aged 10 when he realized he was objectum, meaning attracted to objects. So I've been seeing a lot of this. Is another trend I've noticed, but there have been a lot of stories out there about stuff like this. People marrying random things. Or maybe it's just a big troll. The whole story is a troll. Most calorific Easter eggs revealed and the surprisingly healthier options. I can't even be near any of this. I can't ingest this much kind of sugar. I can't do it anymore. I really can't. It's not good. Not good for me, especially. I just can't do it. But it's so gross. It's such an obvious example, just all built on a lie. It's a corporate holiday, you know, and it's pushing pagan ideas, pagan rituals. More of that mother goddess worship stuff too, you know. Like last week, I think, right? Last week we did a story here where there's a chocolate company literally making female private parts out of chocolate and selling it for Easter. I mean, they actually went there, like the obvious mother goddess worship stuff, right? And that, just going to touch on that. Just can't believe, look at this. This is a little kid gnawing on just big old huge chunk of chocolate. Just gnawing on that, man. Just eating that big old egg of chocolate, man. Eat it. Take in that sugar, child. It's good for you. All right, I'm sorry. Look at this stuff. Oof. Imagine just sitting around on your couch or in your lazy boy and just eating a big old egg of Snickers. Big old football-sized Snickers. Just gnawing on it, man. Just gnawing on it. Just chomping on it, man. Chocolate, caramel, peanuts. Anyway. There you go. And that concludes our stories for this week. I want to jump over here into the chat real quick. Let me turn my volume off. And I'll just say hi. Hey, moderators, thanks again for being here. I'm going to jump over here in the chat real quick. All right, come on. Let me turn my volume off. There we go. Okay, sorry. I had to turn my my speaker off on this side, or my volume. Anyway, hey guys, thanks again for being here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, moderators. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here as well. For my Patreon supporters and friends out there, and PayPal as well, guys, thanks so much for supporting my work, my shows, my videos, the website as well. I've got more stuff I'm going to start working on the website. I've been really focused on my YouTube the last few months, dropping a few things here and there on the website, but there are some really great little hidden gems over there. If you've never been there, check it out. There's some cool things there that you haven't seen on YouTube yet. So anyway, that's my pitch, and I'm sticking to it. But guys, thanks again. I appreciate y'all being here. More videos on the way. I've got like I said, working on 3 right now. One of them should be up here shortly, I'm sure. So once again, y'all are wonderful. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. See you next week for the show. And as I said, more videos on the way. Take it easy.